Superheroes rise, the dying world's too modern skies. Rushing air with power we fight. Strength that breaks you, light in the night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this love imagination mode. With every stroke, adventures unfold. Minis-N-Muscles, heart and soul. Guidance in hand and worlds to explore. Roll the future, hear the dice roll. Gaming realms of muscles drawn. Together in this place where we belong. Golden spells casting dreams until the dawn. Leveling up and the world to follow. With painted heroes shining bright. Venturing onward in the endless night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this film imagination mode. With every stroke, the fantasy unfold. Minis-N-Muscles, heart and soul. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this film imagination mode. With every stroke, the fate to light for Minis-N-Muscles, heart and soul. Oh dear, just got all the buttons blooming wrong, didn't I, when I was trying to get into this camera, clicking everything, and it wasn't working. However, whew, we're here. Forget about that terrible scene selection from my OBS here. Forget about all of that because it's Friday, you're here, and you are watching Minis-N-Muscles. The only place to be on a Friday, the place where the brawn meets the brush. And obviously the wire, because it's there every week, just in case we lose our power. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you are all well. Let's get our music going, because we always have some music here on Minis-N-Muscles. So how are we? It's Friday. How are we, peeps? What's going on? Did you have a good week? I hope so. Well, obviously last week was Oh, crikey, what was last week? Last week was Valentine's week, was it? I want to say? No, or was it the other one? No, last week was Pain and Gain, wasn't it? Pain and Gain in training. Yeah, and fan-driven discussion. So we just spoke about lots of various different things as you were jumping in the chat. But this week, however, slightly different. Oh no, it was Love in the Geek World last week, wasn't it? Was it? Crikey, I lose track of time like no tomorrow, so I forget what's going on and what I had for dinner, which was literally 10 minutes ago. So please do ignore me for my craziness. But this week, what are we talking about here on Minis-N-Muscles? Well, I hear you ask. I wanted to talk about, because the other week we did, let's go back to the pile of shame, right? So we went back and spoke about the pile of shame that I had. Oh, I just need to plug something in very quickly. There we go. We spoke about the pile of shame. And I thought that was quite an interesting topic. It was quite interesting for lots of reasons. But one of the reasons was that it kind of showed me how much I loved this hobby. That's models, that's Geek World, that's Pokemon, that's, you know, XYZ. So yeah, so it did show me that how much I loved it, how much I spend on it. And I thought, oh, okay, so why not talk to you guys this week in our general topic of conversation all about the addictiveness of the geek world. So how addictive it is to be a geek, what that means. So we'll talk about you know, why is it so addictive? I'm just going to read off my points here. How much we kind of spend on stuff and what we spend it on. I also wanted to cover about selling my geeky stuff. Yes, that's right. You heard it here first on a live that I am selling crap. Yes. So if you want to get your hands on some Minis-N-Muscles owned merchandise, hey, you might be that kind of person that wants some Minis and Muscles merchandise, right? If you are, then I'm currently selling all my stuff on Vinted. Well, not all my stuff, but I'm selling loads of stuff. Just bit by bit, I'm just loading more and more on. So far I've got on there Warhammer stuff, D&D stuff, Pokemon stuff, board game stuff. Haven't branched into computer games yet, but I might do because I've got a few things I could probably sell. Is there any books or anything? Oh, there's geeky type books. So there's books on Warhammer. There's books on D&D that are on there. So there is some book stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I thought, well, okay, why not talk about selling the stuff as well? So that's kind of how today's show will go in terms of the general chat and topic. As always, we would not be the place where the brawn meets the brush if we did not talk about a little bit of fitness. So I just wanted to talk about just general diet and eating for muscle growth, because my diet of late has been really bad. So I started off a really good what's the thing called? Habit, where I got rid of drinking fizzy drinks, as in the bad fizzy drinks, your sugary stuff and your aspartame stuff and all the rest of it. Stuff with sweeteners like Pepsi Maxes or energy drinks and all that sort of stuff. I got rid of all of that, and I was drinking water and water only. I'm actually drinking a lot of it on the show. But I kind of slipped out of that recently, so I need to get back into it. I have been drinking lots more water, and I've also got some coffee here. And yes, for those keen spotters, that is a Warhammer mug. Look at that. As you heat up your mug, you get a Space Marine, which I thought was rather cool. Got that from Warhammer World, if anyone's interested. But yes, that is what we're going to talk about today, about just sort of general diet habits and how to get back on track on things, and that's going to be in our muscle moment about halfway through the show. So remember, we run from 7 till 9 roughly. We have a lot of chit chat, a lot of conflab, and we have good geeky vibes. So aside from the chat and the banter and the fun, what else? Well, it is fun still. What else are we doing? I'll tell you what else we're doing. So we are continuing to paint these little beauties. So we've got these 4 miniatures. We've got our dwarf, we've got our rogue human, we've got our travelling merchant, and we've got our orc barbarian. So we will continue to paint these little beauties this evening. That's what we're going to do. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do any on the actual diorama scene. I'll just continue on these. I think that is what we're going to do. So, the question, as I always ask you, have you got your water ready? Have you got your wet palette ready? Hopefully you have. I should hope so. I'm just trying to charge my devices whilst we're here. There we go, it's charging now. Let's take the lid off the wet palette, chuck that down there, spin that around. I've already dipped my brushes into water just to soften them up a little bit. But I'll do it again anyway, just in case. There we go. Alrighty. So, if any of you are in and dropped in to say hello, then please do jump onto the chat, say hello, drop in a message or two, and keep me entertained, and let's have a little bit of a conversation whilst we're here, right? That's what it's all about. I'm just going to move this a little, not that close, but I'll put it to about there. Okay, so who do we start off with? See, the camera sort of turns the model towards me when I do it, so I need to do a better setup actually, where my camera is actually like above, because right now it's this side and it comes this way, but I need it to be like from behind going that way across. That would be way better. I will look at that at some point, how I can do that. But what we got here, so alright, so we've got a fair bit done, not loads, but we've got a fair bit done on this little guy. We could do some highlighting of the pouches on the side. I think my picture's gone a bit funky again, isn't it? It's not quite the right colour. Might have to get some white paper and retest that, because we can't have that going, can we? Let's get some paper. So bear with me. whilst I grab some paper. Here we are. And I think it was one of our viewers, Squarish, was saying, well, if you put some white paper down and you turn off your camera and turn it back on, it should recalibrate. So let's just wait for that to recalibrate. Aha! Here we go. Alrighty, so that looks a bit better. That looks better, peeps, doesn't it? There we go. There's our models. Look at that. See, works every time. Thank you, Squarish. You might watch this on catch-up or you might be watching live, but thank you very much for those tips. Right, I think, I could do more to the dwarf. I could tidy him up a little bit, actually. I think he could probably do with a little bit, maybe on his belt he could do with a little bit of gold. And the gold edging on his shoulder plates. Alright, let's take a look at this guy. Just because I like to mix it up. Every week we paint different ones. I'll probably do a bit more on her as well. So these are the two I think I'm going to paint today. Let's start off with the Orc Lady. I think that's a good start. Right, let's get some flesh tones in for the Orc Lady. Obviously, she's going to have a darkish green face. So let's start with that. There we go. Shake her up. And let's get a little bit out of the pot and into our wet palette. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Only need a little bit. Right, let's unplug that and get that out of the way. We'll keep it in reserve just in case, but hopefully we won't need to. So let's have a little mixy of that green. And I think we're just going to go with starting to apply the green for her face. Oh, I left my silly geek glasses over there, didn't I? I'll have to grab those in a minute because I'll tell you what, painting now without those geek glasses is really difficult. And by geek glasses, if you haven't seen the stream before, you haven't seen the one where I'm wearing them, I'm talking about the glasses that you can wear that magnify your view. You look like an absolute turbo nerd, but they're so good. They really do help. So I might grab those now very quickly. Wait. There we go. Got them. Just because they just help. Yeah, I know it looks absolutely ridiculous, especially when you do that. Right? How much of a nerd do I look now? Right. But they're so good. Because you can just see everything. So when I'm actually painting, I don't have to worry too much. They're very, very good. So if you don't have a pair of these, I would 110% suggest you get some. Even if you're like 20 years of age and you're saying, I don't need one of those. My eyesight's a lot better than yours. Your eyesight's crap because you're old. Well, yeah, probably. But you know, they do help. And I would assume they would still help, even if you're young. Let's just bring him back into view. It just means as well, like, because before, you find that you have to use the teeniest, tiniest brushes to apply anything, which obviously take longer. But now you don't have to use teeny tiny brushes at all. What's this brush? It's just a medium layer brush, and I use this for almost everything now. So I think that's quite a remarkable improvement in terms of what brushes you use, rather than like an Artificer small brush, for example. But yeah, so get yourself a pair of these geek glasses because they're good. Anyway, we should really start with our conversation, shouldn't we? About what we're talking around today. And it was more about why is the geek... Well, it's about the addictiveness of the geek world and sort of how much money us geeks spend on things. Because, let's face it, right? It doesn't matter if it's just me or if it's you. You know who I'm talking to. You spend money, right? geeks spend a lot of dosh. Like, just look at Comic Con, for example, and the amount of people that go there and how much money's spent at Comic Con. Oh my lord. An absolute buttload. And geeks just love to buy crap. And it doesn't really matter what it is. Geeks are sort of quite open with spending, whereas I find your average Joe is not so keen. Whereas geeks are just like, oh yeah, I'll buy that. That's cool. I like that. And they're quite almost impulsive with their buys. A lot more so, I think, than others. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be some geeks out there that are super frugal and sort of take every moment to think about their purchases and what they're buying and why and justification behind it and all that. But I think the majority of geeks don't operate like that. The majority of geeks operate on a, oh, I like that, I'm going to buy it scenario. Oh, hello, Honey Ann. Good to have you in the chat. How are you doing? How is the sunshine over in your neck of the woods? As you can see, yes, I'm wearing the geek glasses. I look like an absolute douche. I know, but they're very helpful for seeing things. Went for corn red, I think, on that. I'm just going to tidy up the tunic on this lady because it needs to be a little bit more tidier. Yeah, so geeks spend a lot of money, right? And I think I've narrowed it down to a couple of things as to why. I think a lot of geeks are very sort of collector heavy, so they just love a collection. Right? Again, speaking from my own personal experience. Oh, Honey Ann saying, I'm counting the minutes to the end of the work week. Come on! End of the work week for Honey Ann. Come on, we'll help you. We'll count in those last moments for you. But yeah, I think a lot of geeks just are quite open to spending and they love a collection. Now, if Honey Ann or anyone else in the chat is open to admitting they're a geek in the first place, but actually, do you think that's true? Do you think that you could probably pigeonhole yourself into a collector sort of bracket? Would you see yourself as a collector? Because I'm pretty sure most geeks are, and I think that is one of the reasons why we're so happy to spend. Because wherever I go, right, in terms of when I'm looking at the things that I like, being a geek, people pay loads of money for it. Doesn't matter if it's Games Workshop, doesn't matter if it's Dungeons and Dragons, computer games, whatever it is, right? Us geeks pay a lot of money for stuff, and we blooming facilitate some of the biggest companies in the world. They may or may not agree with me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. We spend so much money on stuff, it's unreal. You know, you don't have like a... I'm trying to think if non-geeks have an equivalent of Comic-Con. Do they have an equivalent of Comic-Con? No. Maybe that is, you know, half the reason why they don't spend on it. But yeah, I think it's the collector habit. So if you're a collector and you're in the chat right now or watching, and you can agree with that, stick it in the chat and let me know what you're currently collecting. That'll be interesting to hear what you're currently collecting. And it could be anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be something like Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or whatever. Just tell me what you're collecting. I'd be interested to know. Because I'm always open to broadening my own collection. Hey, that's another thing geeks do, right? Geeks also are always happy to try something new. Nine times out of 10. You do get the geeks that are sort of like, they don't want to do anything new whatsoever. But I think the majority of geeks do want to try something new, which is cool. So maybe that's another reason why they spend a lot of money, because they're willing to try new things. because they're not as afraid of being cool, or that whatever it is they're trying not being accepted, because geeks just don't really care, right? So again, is that another reason why they're so willing to spend money? Interesting concept. But yeah, so I think they're quite often collecting and always chasing the new thing. So whether that is the latest whether that is the latest release in D&D, whether that is a limited edition figure or whatever it is, they're willing to go for it and chase that. They also, I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, hang on. Honey Ann's stuck in the chat. The only thing I feel I need to collect is books. I love to find an interesting old book. They're usually cheap because I'm picking them up from the antique thrift store. But I feel that if building out a collection of something makes you happy, it's worth it. Yeah, man, I agree. Like, I love the look of old books. I don't particularly read much, just because I'm quite a slow reader, so it takes me forever to read. But I agree. I think it's quite a cool thing to do, is collect old books. Now, I just like the look of them. I love the ones with the old leather spines or the cracked pages. Or did you ever see as a kid, right? I don't know if they had them where all you guys are, but I remember seeing old Bibles and things like that, little tiny ones, and they had like gold gilded edges and things. And not that I read the Bible loads, but I just thought that was super cool how they had that. I was like, oh my god, that's epic. I love that. So I used to love things like that. I used to love the old ones with the big leather bound books with the big old stitching around the edge. Books look really cool. So, and the trouble is with books, a bit like models, once you get into a set, you start collecting, you can't get out of that, and you feel that you have to get every single one. So it's that like completionist sort of mindset. Excuse me whilst I adjust my glasses, whilst they fall off my face. But yeah, so it's quite satisfying, isn't it, getting a set completed. What about fear of missing out? When you're a geek and you're into all these things, I reckon there's a big part of fear of missing out. Now, one genre that is really susceptible to fear of missing out is fans of Critical Role. Fans of Critical Role, what I've found is because it's so popular, absolutely everything and anything they do pretty much sells out. Every time, all the time. It's like hotcakes. Now, I really like Critical Role, and whether you love it or hate it, I tell you what, that they've got some... however they've done what they've done it very well, because they sell out all the time. Whatever it is, it gets sold out. Now that's either marketing genius, or just does it come back to, because it's quite a cool thing and geeks are into it, geeks are willing to spend, they want to collect, they want to get the set, and that's why. But then again, if that was the case in general, then surely everything that was geek related would just sell out. But then again, I'm kind of contradicting myself here, because I'm thinking, what else sells out in the geek world? Well, actually, quite a lot of stuff. Pokemon sells out, right? Latest Pokemon box sets come out, you can't get them for love nor money. You cannot get one. So, you know, maybe it is. I don't know. But the fear of missing out then is probably a big part of collecting as a whole. So people don't want to be the one not to have that limited edition item, or that new release of something. It could be that new book that, you know, Honey Ann was talking about. It could be that. It could be absolutely anything. But yeah, I think that's probably part of it, right? Fear of missing out, I'd have thought. Brush bristles have gone a bit funky there. Just tidy that up. Yeah, so fear of missing out. Let's stick that in the bag. Let's have that as one of our answers. Oh, need to get under the hood here. Oh no, that's her hair. Oh, what a silly Billy. Started painting her hair blue. What an idiot. Absolute fool. What colour are we going to do her hair, though? What colour should a orc's hair be? Any suggestions in the chat? What should our orc hair colour be? I'm not sure. I'm just looking at all my colours in front of me. Should it be a lighter green? Should it be a sort of sandy colour? Maybe a sandy colour would work. I think so, because they wouldn't have blonde, would they? If you're an orc, you're not going to have blonde hair. But you might have like a sort of lighty, sandy kind of colour. I think that's quite possible. I wonder if this one will work. Let's try. Yeah, so limited editions, fear of missing out, pre-orders, Kickstarter exclusives. So I've been on that Kickstarter train. In fact, I only recently got delivered one Kickstarter I backed a year ago. I backed it, well, it's over a year ago. I backed it thinking, great, this will be ready for my campaign. So it was a Dungeon Master screen, magnetic Dungeon Master screen. And it's absolutely awesome. And I was like, great, I'll back that. That'll be a brilliant for the campaign, so I can use that. Bear in mind, this is over a year later. I've only used it for 2 sessions. 2 sessions I got to use it for before we just finished. We literally just finished the campaign this Thursday, which is kind of sad, but hopefully we'll play again at some point. But yeah, I got to use it for 2 sessions. But I got into that Kickstarter through fear of missing out, right? Which often affects everybody, I think. Because nobody wants to be the person that doesn't get the Kickstarter, right? You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that person that can't get that special offer, that special deal. What do we reckon? Does that hair colour look all right? I think so. Let's go with it. It's like a dirty blonde colour. Would have helped if I didn't start painting her hair blooming blue. What a fool. Yeah, so yeah, limited editions. What about sort of the buzz of it? You're getting the dopamine hit from having that collection, being part of that scene, chasing that item. I mean, Pokemon is probably really susceptible to that, because there's loads of people collecting these cards, chasing for these cards, and not many people get them. I'm still trying to finish my Shrouded Fable collection. I'll bring that up in a bit, actually, because I'm almost there. I'm so close. I think I've got about 6 cards to go, I think. So not many. But they're like the hyper rare ones. So it's quite difficult to either find them or find someone that's selling them at a decent price, rather than, wanting £50 a bloody card. I'm not paying £50 a card. It's just madness. But yeah, getting new stuff is quite an addictive feeling, right? And it's also sort of psychologically proven that if you're feeling a bit down, buying things actually really, really helps and can pick you up. It can release endorphins, can get you excited, and it can cheer you up. And that's how a lot of people end up in, or sometimes end up in a form of financial issues where, they might not be in the best headspace, and they tend to buy a lot of things. That does happen. I think even I do that, actually, to be fair. When I'm feeling a bit down, I buy new things or treat myself to something because I'm trying to make myself feel a bit better, right? I think we're probably all guilty of that as humans. Are geeks more susceptible to that? Not sure. I don't know if I like this orc's dirty blonde kind of coloured hair or not. Not sure, but you know, we'll work with it. We'll work with it. It'll go. So what about you guys? What gets in your collections? What gets your sort of endorphins rushing? What picks you up and makes you think, oh yes, epic, I'm going to get this weekend, or I'm going to go get that? What is it that you guys think? Optimus D, must stop spending money on Warhammer. Must be a more expensive hobby than photography. Oh mate, absolutely. Well, that's why I was saying at the start of the show, I'll talk about what I'm selling in a bit, but Warhammer is so expensive. But, you know, and if you haven't seen my my video that I did about, oh gosh, my pile of shame, go back and watch my pile of shame video, you'll see that. That's pretty good. But my point is, it's fun, right? It's just a lovely thing to have these hobbies where you have this passion, this drive and excitement and enjoyment out of something that is completely harmless, right? So what big deal is it, even if you do spend money, Optimus? Don't worry about it. By the way, cool name. So yeah, so I mean, you could worry about it, you could get yourself a little bit upset about it, but it's not really worth it. I wouldn't be too fussed if I were you about spending a few quid on Warhammer. You know, I mean, there's spending a few quid and there's spending a few quid. So if you're really spending a few quid, then maybe curtail it a little bit. But don't panic if you spend money on something you love and something you're going to enjoy and use, right? Because if you're not going to use it, then yeah, okay. But if you're going to enjoy it, then why not? Oh, I didn't have enough paint on the brush then to do that second eye. Oh, still had a bit of an overspill there with the paint on the eye, but that doesn't matter because we can tidy that up afterwards. But yeah, I don't know though. So you're saying it's more expensive than photography. It depends what you buy. Like new cameras are going to be thousands of pounds, right? Like thousands of pounds. So I don't think it'd probably be more expensive than that. But, you know, hey, doesn't matter because it's enjoyable. It's the thrill of the chase. It's those limited edition models that you want to get. It's that must-have D&D item for the table. It's the fun. It's the escapism. And I think that is more important than absolutely anything. So don't you worry. But how much do we really spend? And that's a good sort of lead on to Optimus's question. You know, Warhammer armies, D&D books, trading cards, video games, all those small purchases do add up. So you do have to take some consideration into that. So, you know, a Warhammer army to start, for example, is a couple of £100. And that's on a good day. It is expensive. And you're not going to walk out there for a couple of pennies. You're going to be spending big money. Now, that's absolutely fine if you've got the money, but you have to be considerate and watch what you spend, right? So you don't take yourself over budget. As much as I'm a fan of collecting, I would never recommend to anyone about spending too much money. Just mixing up a bit of gold now for part of the buckles on the back. Thought that'd be nice to have some gold. So when because as well, again, I think geeks are into a lot of things. I don't think we don't just collect Warhammer. We don't just buy D&D, but we end up doing it all, right? So I'm painting D&D models right now. I've got some Warhammer models that if I literally just reach across to here, I've got a load of Warhammer models to paint here. You know, I've got, if I look down there, which I'll pick up with you in a bit, is my Pokemon collection that I'm almost finished. So, you know, there's always things to buy and it can be ever exhausting. So there's lots of stuff You know, and they can go so deep. Warhammer alone, you could have models, rule books, lore books. So, you know, someone like Honey Ann, you might want to play Warhammer, but you might want to read about the lore. Some awesome lore stories in Warhammer, like seriously. And you'll never read all the books. I challenge anyone that to whether they've read every single book, because there's gajillions of them. But yeah, you're saying, Optimus is saying there's always another model, paints, basing, etc. Vintage models, metal collectors, probably about 100 to 200 a unit. Yeah, so old vintage models do cost a lot. You know, but because they're in short supply and high demand, right? People want those old vintage models because they're cool as heck. They look awesome, and you know, they're really hard to find, especially in good condition. Like, finding good condition old models is really, really difficult. So, you know, if you can find those, you're onto a winner, right? Just concentrating now as I do the edging for this buckle. I think I've got a little bit too much paint on my brush. Yeah, it just spilled over a bit there. See, when you are going in fine detail, you've got to be ever so careful you don't load your brush up too much, because when you do, it just spills over. And then you've got to go back and correct it at some point. I mean, although I'm looking at this from this magnified sort of look, it might look half decent still on the to the naked eye. So there's always that. So yeah, so I'm just going to leave those like that. Not too bad. That's not too bad. If you look at those, it's not too bad on the clips, but I do need to tidy. I will tidy them up just a little bit, just to make them look a little bit crisper and more defined. So we need to backfill some of that with brown, but that's fine. That's not a problem. Yeah. So what else is sort of expensive? I wanted to talk about trading card games, because trading card games are... I did sort of dabble a little bit with NFL cards. I obviously collect Pokemon cards, and they are expensive. Like, just to finish this set off. In fact, let's just switch across just very quickly. I know we should be painting, but let's just switch across to the main view. Right, because if I reach down here, I've got my two folders for my Shrouded Fable Pokemon collection, right? So I have been collecting this not that long, really, and we're almost done. So here we go. Look, we've got start off with from the front all the way through. We're not missing one so far. This is the holos, reverse holos, the EXs. We've got them all for every single energy type Pokemon all the way through. So that is the first half. That's all complete, right? Then we get to this half. Oh, I'll just hold that book in. And we're pretty much good as well. So we've finished all the Pokemons, got all of them in the main set, right? The trainer cards, got them all. Every single one, including these, they type A-Spec. They're called A-Spec ones. I've got those as well. So the A-Specs are done. Then we go on to the rare arts and things like that. Now, I'm missing 3 from here. 1, 2, 3. So I've got 3 missing on that side. Oh, just drop that out of the way. Just coming a bit closer. I've got all of them on that page. Look at that. That's pretty good. And there's some really cool art pictures. I don't know if you guys can see these particularly well, but they're super cool art pictures on these. I think the light's a bit too bright. And then on this page, I've got all of them bar 1. I just need 1 to fill that top bit. But all those are super cool. And then this is the last page, I think. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. So that's 9, 10 in total I'm missing. That's it. Oh, these are just energy cards. So 10 cards is all I need to finish this set. 10! I'm so excited by that. And then in the back of the book, I've just got all the promos in there as well. So I've got the energies, I've got all the promos from that series, the basic energies as well, also the card dividers and the coins as well. So I thought I'd keep them in there. But that's almost done. I'm 10 cards from finishing. I'm well excited. It's taken me quite a while, but we're getting there slowly. Optimus D is saying buy and hold or buy and open. Depends what it is, I guess. I hear Celebrations is good at the moment. Oh, mate, it's yeah, buy and hold, buy and open. Difficult question to ask, really. I think, depending on what you're doing and how your collection's going, you should buy and then keep some sealed, because some of the prices, once that series goes out a generation, the prices absolutely skyrocket. They're so expensive. Like, seriously unbelievable prices. Like, there's packets 151 Pokemon that are going for thousands. It's ridiculous. Really, really crazy prices. So I can't believe that. But, you know, some people, I think some series get a bit of hype behind them. Much like some of the Critical Role stuff in D&D. Stuff gets a hype, people get excited, and people buy. But again, that comes back to my point right at the start of the show. Is it just that geeks do buy stuff? And we are open to collecting, man. We're open to collecting. We're happy to spend our hard-earned cash on all these cool things. Is it just a geek thing? What other geek things cost lots of money, or do you spend your money on? So, you know, I've talked about a few things there, like Warhammer, Pokemon, D&D stuff. What is it that you guys spend your money on? Honey Ann, you mentioned about books. Optimus, you've mentioned about vintage models. Oh, man, yeah. They're two very cool things to collect. Is there anything else you guys collect? Be interested to know. I'm just going to do some little bits of stitching across the top of the hood for this orc lady. Just have to concentrate on this one. Because they're very small lines, and I'm just trying to keep it just in. And it's very difficult. I do find, I was saying last week actually on the stream, that painting and talking is actually really hard. Oh, I didn't change my camera over. Sorry guys, you can't see what I'm doing. There you go. I'm just painting those little lines across the hood. But painting and talking is really difficult. I didn't realise how hard it would be to paint and talk, but it is very difficult. It does take quite a bit of skill to paint and talk. Hence why, when I'm doing these streams, it takes me forever to paint like a model, a miniature. If I'm painting it by myself, I can hammer through, you know, a couple of miniatures in no time. Especially these D&D ones, that I find them a lot easier to do. They tend to have less detail in general than a Warhammer model. If you're buying a Games Workshop Warhammer model, they're usually quite well printed, so there's a lot of detail on them to cover off. But yeah, vintage movie posters Optimus is collecting. Wow, vintage movie posters. I saw an epic video on YouTube about vintage movie poster restoration. So these people take these old posters that look completely knackered, and it almost like they put them in this bath of this special liquid, and they wash them and they put brushes over them and bits and bobs, and they take them out and they then turn, so they'll be all crinkled and they'll be faded colours. But then by the time they've washed them, they're all straight and nice. They put some colour, I don't know whether it's like colour enhancer into this solution, and they wipe it across, and then they get like artist brushes and they draw back in the bits that are busted and they fix them. They look absolutely amazing. They took a Star Wars poster from like the 70s and they refurbed it and it looked brand new. It was insane. But vintage movie posters, a very cool thing to collect. What is your best vintage movie poster, Optimus? Honey Ann is saying tea sets, as in cup of tea sets. So that's your kettle and cups and saucers. So I think it was my nan had a load of tea sets, different teapots, and she used to collect those. So yeah, I can fully concur. They look cool. I can't say I have my own tea set collection though, unfortunately. But that does not mean that that is not an awesome thing to collect. I like collecting pretty much anything, as you know. And I will collect pretty much anything if I allow myself to. Which is always dangerous. Because I get very excited about some stuff and I kind of get carried away with things. And before I know it, I'm like, you know, knee deep in purchasing 3 series worth of XYZ, you know. It's very dangerous being a geek, I think. But it's a cool thing to do, so. Just finishing the edge of this, where the darker blue comes from underneath the cape itself. Oh shit, sorry guys, I'm out of view. Where the darker blue comes from underneath the cape. Just trying to tidy up the edge a little bit. Just so the dark blue comes just poking over the edge, just so you can see that. I quite like that look. Yes. Yes, that looks good. Okay, so we've got belts on the front to do. Got the sword and scabbard to do. There's a little pouch behind there, actually. We should probably look at doing as well. Alrighty. Okay, she's coming along, slowly but surely. Let's have a look and see what colours we... Oh, God. That's, again, only thing with these things, you drop them. What you're saying? Probably Jaws. Optimus saying probably Jaws, 1975. Wow, you've got an original Jaws. Jeez, I bet that's worth a few quid. So you sound like there. That I can get the appeal to collecting stuff like that, Optimus. That is pretty cool. Very geeky, which I love, and something you can just put on your wall. Like I've got just posters on my wall of different things. Actually, D&D ones this side, and that side actually. But they're not old or anything like that. They're reprints of old stuff. So the one down there is a reprint of like a 70s D&D picture. Oh, I think that's a later one actually, a 90s one, but yeah, the rest are all brand new. But yeah, I could get into movie posters quite easy. Honey Ann saying, what? I'm here in the USA with multiple tea sets and you're in the UK and don't even have one? Way not to adhere to stereotypes. Ah. Yeah, sorry, I'm failing on the British, well, the American stereotype of a British person, right? Because American people quite often think that all British people do is drink tea. We drink tea and shout la-di-da. Yeah, and thanks to things like Family Guy, people think we all have bad teeth, which is not the case. I mean, some people do, but and then again, I've seen some people in America with some awful teeth as well, so, you know... I think it's probably fair game both sides of the pond. But yeah, I have to break that stereotype. I think Mum's got some tea sets actually, but I don't own any. Yeah, I can't claim that fame, unfortunately. So what we're doing now is we're just going to paint this little pouch underneath her arm. I've gone for a lighter brown on this one, but I might stick some shading over it. I'm not sure yet, because I don't know how much detail I want to put into it. I mean, as I've always said on Minis-N-Muscles, I like to paint, but what I don't want to do is paint these extraordinary models and take years and years and years to do them, and they be some epic, you know, award-winning model, because that's not how most people can paint. Most people, you know, they want to play the bloody games. But B, and they don't have the time, sorry, to paint. But B, you know, some people just don't have the skill. I don't have the skill to paint like that every day of the week. My lord. Like even now, on a Friday, I'm tired, so I've just gone over the bit of the silver on the arm and a bit of the silver on the sword, so I'll just go over that again. It's not a problem. But, like, could you imagine? Oh, man, it must be absolutely killer to paint something for, like, the Golden Demon Award, which is an award that's run by Warhammer for painting models. I think I'd have a sodding heart attack, I think, because you're painting models anyway, and it must be so slow and tiny little bits at a time. Just a little tiny bit there, little tiny bit there. And then if you cock it up, oh my lord, I think I'd have a heart attack if I messed up a prize model like that. I prefer to paint for fun. That's kind of my preference. Painting for fun. But yeah. There we go, little pouch stuck in the corner there, that's good. So what else are we saying? Now there's something more expensive than Warhammer, dental work. Oh, yeah. Yeah, true. Well, that's if you can get a dentist in the UK, Optimus. You're being very optimistic, thinking you could get a dentist in the UK. Increasingly more harder to find. So if you can find yourself a dentist in the UK, well done. Pat yourself on the back. Well, I say that, but you can find private dentists. So here in the UK we have the NHS, the National Health Service, that we all pay into. It's not free, you pay into it every month. So it's pretty much like health insurance they have in America, but people don't recognise it as that, because we pay national insurance, which pays a contribution towards the NHS, right? So people say, oh, the NHS is free. Well, it's not. You do pay for it. So it is a little bit like health insurance, but national insurance also goes to other things beyond healthcare. So what you used to be able to do in the UK is you used to be able to get dentistry done at NHS dentists. That means that it's either partially or fully funded, right, through the NHS. And because of the expanding population we have here in the UK, it's sort of put massive pressures on the NHS in many different ways. One of them is dentistries, and it's very hard nowadays to get an appointment with a dentist. I haven't even got a dentist round this way when I moved to this area. I don't even have a dentist round here. I go, a 30-minute drive away to a dentist because I couldn't get anywhere else, and I could only get into that dentist because my mate's the bloody dentist. So it's quite mad, really. But yeah, dentistry work is very expensive, and more expensive than Warhammer. So yeah, I agree with you, Optimus. Very true statement. Very true. There we go. Just put a little bit of a white band through the middle to break up the red. So we'll use that. Yeah, what else was I saying? So other things that are expensive as well, and what us geeks tend to spend our money on, is subscription services, right? Subscription to this, subscription to that. What subscription services, geeky ones, do you guys have, right? Here's a few that I have. So I have some geeky subscriptions. I'm drinking from a Warhammer cup, and I have a subscription to Warhammer Plus. Warhammer Plus gives me one model free a year. It gives me access to Warhammer TV, gives me access to the app for playing the game, and other bits and bobs, like access to the Dark Library lore stuff, so you can read all about the lore. I have a D&D Beyond account, which costs me a subscription. I have my PlayStation Plus account, which is a subscription. I have a Nintendo Switch account, which actually is not a subscription. I just pay once a year for that. So I have lots of these different subscriptions. Great way, right, for companies to make money, more money out of us. So what subscriptions do you guys have? Do you have like Xbox Game Passes? Do you have other sort of hidden costs and side factors of gaming or of geeking, like Pokemon, right? Do you have, although Pokemon Go was essentially a free app, but within Pokemon Go you could pay for things to do stuff, right? So there's always like these side hidden costs. And again, boy are geeks quick to pay for those. We love like throwing hand over fist for all these crazy subscriptions, right? Geeks love that. They're like, oh yeah, subscription, great, I'll sign up tomorrow, not a problem. Geeks pay loads of money. So what are you guys paying your subscription fees on? There must be stuff. There must be geeky things that you guys are paying for on a subscription basis. I'm positive about that. Because there's just so many. There's so many cool things that are about. But, you know, they lock them behind a paywall. And generally speaking, they lock them behind a paywall, but they enable you to do things with the hobby that you're trying to pursue. Yeah, so like D&D Beyond, for example, helps you create characters. You don't have to use the online application. You could use pen and paper, right? That's very, very true. You could use your pen and paper. So you don't have to use a form of technology to do your character sheets. You could use your books to look at the spells. But quite a lot of people like the fact that you can have a digital version of that. I do like pen and paper, I must admit, but when, like, for example, the group that I have just finished a campaign for, none of them used pen and paper. They were all on D&D Beyond. Every single one of them. Not that that's a problem at all. It actually makes, in some respects, some of my life easier as a dungeon master. But it does mean that everyone's paying for these subscriptions, right? So again, it's just more of that sort of hold that these companies do have on us as geeks. They're trying to hold us down, people. They're trying to hold us down and make us pay for things. How very dare they? But what is it that you guys are subscribing to? Do you have a magazine subscription, for example? I mean, they were sort of the original subscription services, right? Magazines. When paper print was popular, before it sort of fell out in the digital age, paper print was popular, and there was magazine subscriptions that people would have. But now you can even get subscriptions actually to newspapers, can't you? Which surprises me, because I'm surprised newspapers haven't completely disintegrated into thin air. Because I don't know anybody that reads newspapers anymore. Very rarely. Might read the free one that you find on the train, but that's about it. But yeah, what subscriptions are you guys running? What helps you facilitate your geeky hobbies and passions? How do you get through your geeky hobbies and passions with various subscriptions? I'd like to know the answer. As I paint this lady. Missed a little bit of red actually, so I need to fill that. Yeah. Lick the paintbrush. That's what we all have to do. It's the law. And if you don't, are you a true painter? There's a question. Here we go. Fill in that little bit of her red cloak. Let's just be on that strap. There we are. That's good. So what are you guys subscribing to? If at all. Might not be nothing. So like, there is a massive rise, and I kind of touched on it then in the subscriptions. Microtransactions and in-game purchases. So things that, oh, it's just £1 to do this, just a 10p to do this. It doesn't matter whether it's Apple charging you 79p a month, or it's now 99p a month. That then enables you to use the cloud storage, right? Subscription, microtransaction. They do it. Everybody does it. Optimus is saying he had a cask whiskey subscription once. Wow. Didn't even realise you could have a whiskey subscription. It was 65% proof. Lord, oh Lord, that would have killed me. I wouldn't be able to drink that. That would literally put me on my back. yeah, I can't. Well, I don't drink. That's the problem. So I don't do well with alcohol. But you know, not that that's a bad thing. But I just haven't. I used to drink in my younger years, but I just don't drink anymore. Not that that's a problem, but not that having a alcoholic subscription is a problem. That's actually quite cool. But crikey, I don't think I could handle 65%. Lord, oh Lord. So what I'm doing now, just in case for those keen eyes, I'm just filling an area of her trousers. Sorry. So with the trousers, it was white undercoat with a shading over the top. So I've just had to fill an area that should have been coloured this sort of blue charcoal-y kind of colour, bluey charcoal. Just because I'd missed it out on the edge, just in between where her sword is. So I shall do that. Just can't have that missing, can we? Wow, 65% whiskey though. Crikey. You must have drunk that and your head would have fallen off. I mean, my head would have fallen off, I know that much. I could not handle that. But yeah, subscriptions, microtransactions, they're out there. And they can be very easily purchasable. And you can sort of fall into that trap of, you know, yet another subscription, yet another cost to facilitate our terrible geeky habits. You know, not that geeky habits are terrible, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, peeps. So yeah, but it's okay. You know, general consensus is it's all right, really. So that leads me on to selling stuff. So of recent times, especially after my video of the pile of shame of all my models that I haven't painted yet, should have painted but haven't, and they sat in my pile of shame, I have been on a mission of recent days to sell. I've put a load of things onto Vinted, and I've been selling loads of stuff from old Warhammer models that I had as a kid, the old metal ones, all the way through to you know, D&D books that I purchased last year. You know, and I'm just getting rid of stuff that I just don't think I need. So I'm having a right old clear out. And I tell you what, bloody hell, it feels good. It feels wicked to have the... I'm looking through these stupid glasses. It feels wicked to sell stuff. Oh, God, go up. It feels really, really cool to sell stuff, guys, and to get some money back in your pot. Like, I think I've sold, like, 400 quid's worth of stuff on Vinted alone. You know, that's not loads of money. It's not going to buy me a new house, but it might buy me some more geek stuff. Yeah. So it can enable you to buy some more things. So ultimately, why is selling things quite hard? So even when I was looking at selling stuff, it was really difficult to take all those items out of the box that I've been storing them in and think, oh, should I sell them? Should I not? So you tend to build quite an affection towards these things. Oh, hold on, we've got some chat coming in. Optimus is saying, which range of paints do you prefer and do you airbrush? So currently, I have a load of Citadel paints. That's what I've got out today, purely because that's what I started with when I started painting Warhammer and D&D models, because I had a Warhammer shop near to me. Over the past couple of years, I've noticed that Warhammer paints, or the Citadel paints, are getting worse. So, oh bugger, I can't do that. But I have, there's literally a box there, but it's got loads of models on it, of Army Painter box paints. So I've just recently got some Army Painter paints. I did speed paint a couple of items with the speed paints that they've got, but I actually think they're pretty good so far. I am going to try some other paints before I commit But I will be, once I get rid of all the Citadel paints that are in my little pots left and right of me, where you can't see, yeah, I'll probably transition over to another brand, to be fair. Do I airbrush? So, great question. The simple answer is no, not right now. Do I own an airbrush and a compressor and airbrush paints? Yes. Do I airbrush? No. What is the reason for that? I haven't got yet one of those airbrush stations that, you know, that has a little sucker that sucks all away the air that you're spraying into and all that sort of jazz. So I do have one, just haven't used it in vain, really. I've, you know, tested it quickly, but I've not used it properly. The thing is, for individual models, would it be like you can spray? I've not really played enough with it to know how much of how much fine detail you can do with an airbrush. So I've really got to experiment. I've got to get a few models out and actually give it a proper go to really put it through its paces to see what you can do in detail. I don't think it's ever going to replace a brush, but you know, there might be some things you can do that are quite cool that makes things look good. So yeah, there's your answers. Currently Citadel. Have tried Army Painter, which I currently prefer because Citadel I find has gone downhill. But there are some other paints, AK paints, Vallejo as well, I want to try as well because I've had a few recommendations for those. And I do own a airbrush, but I don't use it at the moment. You're also saying, yeah, had a pretty heavy PS4 rock band session on the whiskey once. That's brilliant. A pretty heavy rock band session on the whiskey. So that's combining two geeky things in one there. Getting your rock off with PS4 Rock Band whilst drinking your subscription to 65% proof whiskey. Absolutely mental. In a good way. Absolutely mental, but in a good way. So I like that very much. We've got this scabbard here. What colour should we do the scabbard? I don't want to go like brown because everyone does scabbards in brown. I'm going to do it in purple. That's what I'm going to do. Decided. I've just seen the purple and I've just gone, yep, purple will do. Let's shake that up on the old mixer. So that's what I'm going to go for. Purple on the scabbard. Yeah, on a couple of my other videos, Optimus, I do talk about paints and the quality of paints. I quite often slate Citadel, not because they're terrible paints, but that it just seems some of the quality's gone out of a couple of their pots. Where I had some older ones and then brought slightly newer ones or whatever, the quality on the new ones seems to have disappeared a bit. So I've feel a little bit lackluster about them. But that's a bit too thin. I don't know if you guys can see that, but where I'm painting that on now, I've kind of mixed that a little bit too thin. So it's not really giving very good coverage. That's fine. We'll just cover the area. We'll cover the area anyway, and then we'll come back for a second coat, which is absolutely fine. There we go. Stick a little bit in there. I've just gone over onto the boot. What a fool! Okay, that's that. I will put a silver tip on the end. Oh, bugger. Look at that. You see that? Just gone. I don't know if you can see that. I've just bloody put a splodge of purple on the boot. Oh, what a fool! Fool of a took. Let's wipe that off. There we go. Because that's what you can do with these paints. As long as you're quite quick, you can, generally speaking, wipe off the paint and get away with it. That one, maybe not. It's probably going to have to be redone, but that's fine. So we got the hilt and the handle of the sword to do. So we do need to do that. Should that top bit be purple as well, do you think? I wonder. Quite possibly. There we go. So what paints do you use when you're painting Optimus? And what about yourself? What do you prefer? What's your fave? Actually, I don't think that should be purple at all. Changed my mind. There we go. I think that should probably be silver. Here we go. Get some silver in there. Yeah, what do you guys use? What paints do you use? What paints do you use? Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Selling stuff. That's right. God, I get distracted. So if you're just joining for the first time watching Minis and Muscles, sometimes I do get a little bit distracted and I forget what I'm talking about and I go off on a side tangent. So if I do, please give me the nudge in chat and bring me back on point so I can actually talk about what I was supposed to be talking about. And that was selling stuff, wasn't it? And I was saying to you guys that after my pile of shame video, I decided to sell a load of items, right? Stuck a load of things on Vinted to get rid of. And I'm doing pretty well, about 400 quid sold so far, which is pretty good. I'll take that, 400 quid, it's in my pocket. It will help me fund the last cards probably in my Pokemon collection that I need. But, you know, I'm selling models and books and things like that I'm not going to use anymore. They're just taking up space. And I'm getting things that I do want. So, you know, that's a good trade-off. I'll take that. So always consider selling your stuff. It's worth it, right? It is worth it. And you never know. You might, you know, surprise yourself and sell a load of bits and make so much money. You think, oh, sod that. I'm not even going to bother buying anything. I'm just going to save it, or I'm going to go on a holiday, or, you know, 400 quid. That, although not to be sniffed at 400 quid, that still gets you quite a lot, you know. And to have that sat in items that are doing nothing, it does seem a bit gluttonous, doesn't it? So, you know, turning it into something that I can use, or I am collecting, or I do want, rather than things just to sit there, is a good idea. But with that, there is a thing to be aware of. Know the market. Right? Know your market and what things are worth. The reason I say that is one of the items, so I put a box of Warhammer on onto Vinted, and it literally went within 2 minutes of putting it up. So it went for my asking price. I put it on for, I think it's 26 quid or something like that. So a pretty good price. It sold. And then I went to look, I thought, well, that sold pretty quick. So I thought, oh, that sold real fast. Maybe I should, I wonder why it sold so fast. I just typed it into Google and it came back, and the item, right, brace yourself, 200 quid on eBay. I was like, no, I've just sold it for 26 quid and it's worth £200. I cannot believe it. Absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted about that. But what can you do? Not a lot. You just got to suck it up, right? You just got to suck it up and get on and move on, because you can't cry over spilt milk. So yeah, that was quite a painful experience. But know your market. So that I wanted to say to you guys, if you are going to sell some of your stuff, make sure you go out and research. Like, the problem that I did there is I didn't do enough research. I literally Googled the item and I didn't look at what it was. I just took the first thing. I took the brand new box set. I had the old box set. The old box set is worth a lot of money. I was like, oh, typical. So make sure you do your research, is what I'm saying. You will thank me in the long run. So yeah, please, please, please do your research. So in the chat, Optimus is saying, what army are you collecting at the moment? Any army you're working on at the moment? So, I would assume you're fairly new to the channel, Optimus. So I have a Sisters of Battle army. So that is my main army that I have. That's my pride and joy, is my girls. So they're the main army I use right now. But I do have other armies as well. So I have an Orc army that I've not long had. And I also have an Eldari army. And I also have a Space Marine army. So the Eldari army is probably 1,000 points at best, but it's not. I've just chose models that I like, rather than models that would be practical as an army. The Orc army is pretty versatile, as is the Sisters of Battle army. I could play them, both armies, in any sort of way I wish. Space Marine army, again, I bought on Rule of Cool, and just bought items that I liked. So yeah, they're not full armies as such. I would say the Eldari and the Space Marine army are not full armies. I could change that at some point, but we shall see. We shall see. How about yourself? What armies are you collecting in Warhammer right now? Oh, does need a bit more. Just going back and filling in that section of grey. So where her trousers was sort of poking through in the corner, I've just gone back and got my grey, or Space Wolves grey it is actually, contrast colour, that's the word I was looking for. Space Wolves grey contrast colour, which I've used on her trousers. So it had a white undercoat with this Space Wolves grey over the top, which gives a sort of nice kind of textured feel. So I've just filled in that little gap just there and there. So I've just filled in those two bits just so it matches. So it looks like she's actually got a pair of trousers on rather than nothing. I do need to do the handle though. So we've got this metal sort of hilt with the sword. I do need to do the rest of the handle. So let's get that cracked. Yeah, so that are my armies. My Sister Battle army is pretty much all painted. There's a couple of models that haven't been finished. But, you know, to be fair, it wouldn't take long if I really sat there and did them. It's just about time. Orcs army's painted. That's good. Space Marines, the items that I have are mostly painted. I think I've got about 2 squads that are not painted in Space Marines. Eldari, I've got, I'd say half and half in terms of painted and finished. So on this little handle piece, I've gone for a lighter colour on the handle, and I'll probably use a shade of some sort just to colour that in and give it some darker tones. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. What we've got here, got a couple of little sort of gold and silver bits that I need to do. So little silver clasps around her belt. So they need a little dab of silver. There we go. Little dab of silver for that silver ring. She's also got that should be gold probably on her nose, shouldn't it? A nose ring, gold. Probably right. Yeah, that should probably be gold. Well, I should finish her eyes actually. So again, I get very distracted very easy. So I start sort of going, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. And I sort of go off from bit to bit, and I get so distracted on what I'm actually meant to be doing. I think that's another reason why it takes me forever to do models sometimes, especially on the channel, because I'm talking, I get distracted, I go from this point to that point, It just takes me forever. Right, let's get these eyes done. Looks like she's looking off to the side a bit. Sorry if my big fat head was in the way then. I was just sort of having to get it a bit closer for the eyes. Let's just sort of seal those off now and... oh, too much. There we go. Actually, I quite like that and how it's come out. Not intentional at all for the placement of the pupil on one of the eyes. But it's just off to the side and it's sort of looking like she's sort of looking off to the side. Looking off to the side, but it's quite good with the way her head is tilted. Because her head is tilted to the left and she's looking to the left. So actually, it looks quite cool. So I'm happy with that. That's good. That's good. Let's do her little tusks. She's got two little tusks here. She does. Right, if I just stick some white across there, it's not white, it's more of a bony colour. Just sticking that across the teeth in the centre, and then I can come in with the green and just work around the edge there and just tidy it up. It's normally an easier way to do it. So stick the colours in and then just use your green to go over the edges. Alright, well, what's the time? Time check. Crikey, it's 8:30. Jeez, quick, take these off. Oh, we're over halfway through. I do this every week and I forget. Ha! Let's get back to the front. Let's just catch up on the chat. So what we're saying, finishing all my metal high elf army. Just dropped £140 on 20 handmaidens for the Everqueen. Ah, oh, high elf army, man, that brings me back to being a kid. I had a load of wood elves, but I can't fricking find them. I loved those. I thought they were epic, the wood elf army. Really liked those as miniatures. Yeah, they were super cool. I think that's probably why I chose Eldari as a Warhammer 40,000 army, because it reminded me a little bit of wood elves that I had as a kid. Cold coffee, lovely. Alright, well, muscle moment. We wouldn't be Minis and Muscles, a place where the brawn meets the brush, if we didn't speak a little bit about fitness, right? So what I wanted to talk about this week was diet and eating for muscle growth, and just general dieting and food in general. Brought on because I go through these phases myself of like, 1 minute I'm eating really crazily, the next minute I'm sort of well on it and I'm super tight, and it does affect your output in what you're trying to achieve if you're not consistent with your food. Now you can do all the training in the world, you can do all the steps in the world, but if your food is off, you will not achieve the goals that you really want to achieve. So you have to make sure that you are ensuring you keep to a strict diet. And that doesn't mean I have to eat lettuce and lettuce only. By strict diet, I just mean that you stick to the bloody plan and you do it. Because I know when I don't, I'm massively affected. Same as training as well. But yeah, if you want to start to build muscle and start to grow a little bit, there are things that you need to do. And ultimately, protein is king. You know, and that's quite an obvious one. But you do need to consume way more protein than probably what you have done previously. So if you actually want to start building that muscle growth and having the opportunity for the muscles to get bigger and more pumped, then of course you're going to need protein. You're going to need lots of it. Probably, I would say, before I started training, I'd probably consume, when I am on my diet, I'd probably consume 2 to 3 times more than what I would normally in terms of protein, because you're having 3 lots of chicken a day, or you're having 2 lots of chicken and 1 protein shake or whatever, versus normally maybe 1 bit of protein in the day. Whereas if you're on it, your breakfast has got protein, and your lunch has got protein, and your dinner, including all your snacks. Otherwise, you just scoff a bowl of shreddies, have some toast at lunch, and then have a dinner a larger meal in the evening, which is no good. Lean meats. Try to go lean meat. So things like turkey are really good. Things like chicken is good as well. So turkey and chicken, I think, are probably the easiest ones to go with. When you start delving into things like pork, as much as pork is tasty, there's a lot of fat in pork, so you don't want too much of that. Beef also sticks in the system too long, and I can't actually have red meat, so try to avoid those if you can, because it stays. Did you know beef stays in your gut? If you have a steak, it stays in your belly for up to like 23 or 24 days or something mad. Isn't that crazy? I only found that out. I only found that out about 10 years ago. But yeah, I thought that was quite a surprising fact. But also, second point, so protein is king. Second point, carbs are not your enemy. You need carbs. You must have carbs. Hello, JPC. Give up bacon. Unsubscribe. I didn't say give up bacon. Did not say that at all. You just have to moderate that. I'm just saying it's not the most lean meat going. So if you're really trying to hammer it home, then you should have leaner meats. Bacon not being one of them. But it doesn't mean you have to give it up, because you can still consume little amounts of it, as long as it's not, having 20 rashers a day. That would be crazy. So don't worry, JPC. Stay with us. Stay in there, my brother, because you can have bacon. But carbs, as I was saying, is not the enemy. You don't have to worry about carbs being the enemy and saying, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that. One point when I was doing training, all I was consuming was protein. This is what I was sort of learning about getting more muscle mass. And all I was doing was protein. And I got to a point where I couldn't grow any bigger. And I was like, what am I missing here? And I was sort of talking through my diet with a really big guy in the gym. And he was like, you don't eat enough carbs. You're not eating enough. And he's sort of explaining how much you need to eat. And actually, it's a bloody crap ton to gain big size. So when you start doing that, it is all right. Now, when I say carbs are not the enemy, if you go and tank a load of, McDonald's fries, that is carbs, but that's not good carbs. All right. I'm talking like healthy carbs, like rice. That is good for you. So rice, oats, sweet potatoes, whole grains in total. They're the sort of good things that you want, not these sort of fries or as we call them in the UK, chips. You don't want that kind of stuff. That's not good. Fats, though, we did mention fats earlier, JPC, on bacon, but you do want to have a little bit of fats, and they should be healthy fats. So things like fats from an avocado. Oh, nutritional fact for you. Did you know avocado is one of the only food items in the world if you could solely live off? So if you just consumed an avocado every day, and that's all you ate, avocado, your body could sustain itself off them. That's pretty clever, right? That's pretty cool. Another fact I found ages ago. See, get distracted a lot. So healthy fats matter. So that's your nuts, that's your avocados, olive oils, things like that. Really, really important. Bad fats, trans fats from biscuits, which I love. Damn it. Your KFCs and your things like that. Damn it. I love KFC, but not so good for you. Fourth point, hydration. Drink loads of water. You must. Optimus is off to the gym now before it closes. Catch you next week, sir. Yes, you will indeed. See you next week. Enjoy the gym. Get pumped. Remember to hydrate. Point 4 of what we're talking about tonight, Optimus. Hydrate. Make sure you do that. So there's one theory that why people look so much older many years ago is because people didn't really drink enough water. And now actually water is one of the most consumed takeaway items. So instead of like a Pepsi bottle, actually water's really popular now. So I think they're saying that because people are more hydrated, they look younger. Probably all the plastic surgery Hollywood has as well to deceive us all, but I think water's probably one of those contributing factors as to why people look younger, have healthier skin. You wouldn't guess them in my 40s. Look at this youthful face I have. But yes, so hydration, very important. And lastly, so you've had protein's king, carbs are not the enemy, you've got healthy fats matter, hydrate, and then meal timing and prep. So by this, you should have your set timings for your meals throughout the day. Make sure you consume a post-workout meal as well, so your body can grow from that, whether that's a protein shake. Not always the best, but that's sometimes good if you've not got a lot of time. Make sure you do that. It's very, very important. And make sure you eat steady meals throughout the day, and your snacks, plan them all out. You can then prep your meals the day before, the weekend before, or whatever it is, and then you're ready for the whole week. Ha! Muscle moment done! Fantastic. All right, let's switch back over to the cam. So JPC will be happy that the muscle moment's done, and we're back into cam action on our models. So I'm just going to get some shades across. Because I'm going to do a little bit of shading on some of the items that we've just painted. So we're still currently doing our little orc barbarian. Crikey, when I talk sometimes I do rattle on, don't I? Please do bring me back onto point, peeps. Bring me back onto point. There we go. So what were we talking about before the muscle moment? We were talking about selling stuff. Know the market value was the first point. Second point I wanted to talk about was good presentation of your items. Now, possibly controversial, but when you're selling stuff, people want it to look cool. Now, I look for cool stuff when I'm searching for things, so I kind of get it. What you don't want is a really crappy picture of your really good, well-painted models, because it's not going to look very good. And you want to sell your stuff, right? So you've got to make it look nice. Now, I first advertised a load of stuff, and I kind of did that. I just took any old photo and threw it on there, and it wasn't really selling. Then I changed a load of photos and did that for the next batch. Crikey, my phone was going off like hotcakes. Everything was selling every 2 seconds. Bing, 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 sold, sold, sold. I was like, crikey. Either I'd priced it exceptionally well against the rest of the market, and in some cases under market. That wasn't intentional, by the way. It just happened. Don't shoot me. But also, you just need to make things look good. The better it looks, because I look at some things, some models, that I end up buying, and I think, oh, okay, look how bad that photograph is. No one else has bidded on it because it looks like crap. But if you have a keen eye, you might notice that, oh, actually, although it looks like crap in the picture, it looks like crap on first viewing, it might actually be quite good, and you can take a gamble. And I've done that, and it has paid off as well, which is nice. But that's not always the case, so don't just take my word for that. But present your things in clear photos. Be realistic about what you're charging. Let's just lift this up. So make sure you are realistic on how much you're asking for in your models. You're not going to get shop price for something. Unless you're adding more value to it. So don't go thinking you're going to buy a box for 30 quid from the shop and sell it for 30 quid online. You're simply not. No one will buy it from you. You're going to have to go below shop price. Unless you've added value. So you might have a box item and you've painted the models. If they're well painted, that would add value and people will pay more for it. But if it's just the same as what they can get elsewhere, they ain't going to pay jack for it. So make sure you get that pricing point sweet. That's what I'm saying. JPC is still saying, I am still working on the Metal Gear Solid minis. Oh, man. Need to see those. Stick that in the Discord, JPC. We need to see those Metal Gear Solid minis. I think they'd look well cool. That's what I was doing. I was doing the tusks. Okay, that's that. Just get that talon for her eyebrows. There's one. And there's two. Don't want to go too big on the eyebrows. She don't want to look like she's got eyebrows like me. You just want to go light on eyebrows if you ever do them, because otherwise they look too cray-cray. Oh, that actually looks quite good how that has come out. You know, I was saying how I painted the eyes and they're actually following the headline. Completely accidental, but they look really good. So, you know, sometimes things can work out well. Let's get this little, using some metallic now, to paint the little hair bobble thing that she's got. There we go. There we are. Lovely jubbly. There's a little hair bubble done. Or metal sort of hair band thing. You need to also factor in when you're selling your items, shipping. And if you're selling on places like Vinted, buyers will pay an insurance fee on top of the purchase price. So you have to think about, let's go back to a pack of models, right? Which, let's say it retails for 30 quid. You're never going to be able to sell them for 30 quid because you can buy them in the shop for 30 quid. So actually, you're probably looking at more like £28 to get people interested. A couple of pound off. Now, if they have to pay an insurance fee, you're going to have to take a little bit more off of that. So it's more like 26 quid. So you're going to have to price them really well to include not only being realistic with market value, but factor in shipping and insurance costs. And my last point on geeky selling items is avoid impulse repurchasing. You know, don't just because you've then got that money back in your pot, go out and buy something, completely blow it on something again. You've just sold a load of models because you're not painting them. Don't go buy more models and not paint them. That's just ludicrous. And I'm not talking about the wrapper. So make sure you do sensible purchases with the money you earn from those sales. Just tidying up some of this hood. I do need to redo a little bit of that banding across the top, because it's just got a little bit scuffed, probably where I've had my big fat fingers on it. There we go. Oh no. Oh no. Well, that's not very good, is it? What I've done there is where I've kind of rushed it. I've gone too weak. I've watered down my colour too much. So when you water down your colour too much, you know, you want to try and work for a 2-to-1 ratio. So every 2 bits of water, 1 bit of paint, roughly. Sometimes you might want to go a little bit more than that. So you might want to go 3-to-1 so you can get it really fine. But if you mix it a bit too much and get a bit too careless like I did there, when you go to apply the paint onto the model, it will run really quickly and you won't have a chance to stop it. So, you know, that's what happens. I don't know if we can zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So if I just move her there, I don't know if you can see, you can't really see from that, but just here, where the first little stitches, that it's just running over into the bit that it shouldn't be. So you can see it with the naked eye. So what I am going to do once that dries, I'm going to cheat. Rather than repaint it, right? Tip of the day. Rather than repaint that now, because where the stitch goes across, I should just put a line across in white. It's gone into the recess. Okay, so the white's dropped into the recess. So it doesn't just go across the line, it's now dropped and made an extra shape. Now, this is where you can cheat. Get something like Nuln Oil. So let's put it in the camera. This one here. This is a dark shade. Alright? All you need to do now is load your brush up with this dark shade and go over each of those stitches and just drop the because it's like an inky paint, drop the inky paint across each of the stitches. The inky shade drops into the recesses. It will cover that mistake I've just made and nobody will ever know. It's brilliant. Okay, so always keep shades to hand because they can fix a lot of mistakes and errors. So don't feel that you have to always fix it. You can fix it by painting it in an easier fashion, and these drop on really, really easy. It literally just flows on. So I will potato camera it. Potato camera it. What does that mean, JPC? I'm now interested what a potato camera is. Very interested. Anyone else know what a potato camera is? What he's talking about? I'm not so sure myself. Right, let's just get this Nuln Oil into the stitches here. So we'll just drop it on top of each of the stitches. It runs into the recesses and it will cover up the mistakes we've made, which is good. It also gives shadow and depth to other areas. So there is like a stitch line that runs from the front down the back, so we can drop the Nuln Oil into that stitch line too, which then just highlights that area for us without having to do any work. So there we go. I've just done that, and on the front there I think might not get away with it. Depends how it pools. But that looks better already, so we might get away with that. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's just move her back 2 steps. Just for the last 10 minutes or so, we will look at because that shade paint is going to take a little while to dry is all. So if we keep her there, we can take a look at this guy and just see what else there is to paint on this blokey. What was we doing? Oh yeah, these little armbands, arm wraps. So we should probably get some of this out. So we're just going to go for another sort of light colour for the arm wraps. So I'm going to use witch flesh. So I'm going to use witch flesh for that, which will be fine. It's sort of a off-white witch flesh. It's already quite, well, this is a new Citadel paint. It's already quite a runny paint as it is. So when we're talking about, you know, mixing it in a relation to 2:1 or something like that with water, so that it applies smoothly and doesn't be all bumpy, you might get away with just running this witch flesh as is, because it's not a particularly heavy paint. So you can just apply that as required. And I am going to put a shade across this anyway, because I don't want this hand to be, you know, completely clean white. You want him to look a bit dirty, right? So we will run a little bit of shade over this one. Probably on this one, to give it that more dirty brown vibes, we'll go with something like Agrax Earthshade. And we'll use that. go. Just doing a little bit of the bandages. There we go, get that in there. You don't have to do every single bit, I'm just kind of highlighting one or two of the bandages, not doing them all, because sometimes if you just saturate it, it's okay, but I quite like it to look different. So there we go, that's that side done. Let's have a look at this side. The other nice thing, when you get the mix just right on paint, it flows so nicely from your paintbrush, so you don't feel like a complete fool, and it just pops in the right places and you don't really have to worry. It's quite a nice feeling when you get it just right and it flows. So yeah, our conversation topic of the day was about geeky spending and why do geeks spend so much? Is it because we just love to collect? Is it because we're more open to trying new things because we're geeks and we're not, afraid to be in an unpopular, or what is portrayed as an unpopular position? We're okay with that. We're happy to do that. So we're happy to experiment, and that's why we're more open to buying all these crazy things. Is that the reason why? I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think the answer is? So we're kind of getting to the end of the show now, or towards the end of the show anyway. It's a bit of a dodgy mould on this one actually, around the hands and these bandages. It's not particularly very good. I mean, right now they stand out like sore thumbs, right? But you wait, once we put some Agrax Earthshade onto that, it will disappear and it will blend. Another great thing with shade paints, right, is it just helps blend things in. You don't need loads of it, and you can use loads of it, but you don't have to. But as soon as you bang that on, it just blends the paint into whatever it's sitting on and whatever's around it. It's a very handy. If you're not using shades, you should give them a go. They're very, very helpful. However, be warned. Don't use shades on everything. Don't just dip your model in a shade. I have done that in the past. When I first started getting into painting, I did do that. And you can, but it kind of ruins the model a little bit. So try to use it sparingly, rather than sticking it on everything. Can you see now on the top of the two arms there, the one this side, where my paintbrush is darker, and the one on the other side is like almost bright. So that's the kind of effect you get from Agrax Earthshade. It's quite a good muddying effect. Yeah, but you can overuse these sometimes. So just be careful how much you use them. It's not always best just to go head first with these kind of shades. Just go steady, bit by bit, and then see what it looks like, and then, add more, remove more, whatever. But just go steady. Go steady, Eddie. Oh, there we go. My picture will look like it was taken with a potato. Oh, right, okay. Got you, JPC. So it's just poor photographic skills is what you're telling me. All right, got you. Makes sense, sir. Makes sense. Right, now what we've got to do with this guy is, I think, in his little jacket, as he's opening his jacket and being like, look at all my wares. We need to put some shiny, bright colours in there, right? Some, things that are going to attract the eye. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter what it is, but let's just get some bright colours in there. Because that's what he's selling, right? He's selling cool, amazing things to these unsuspecting travellers. There's some keys there. We could do the keys in silver. Oh, we've got a bronze somewhere. Where's that bronze? No, that's a gold. That's that gold. I wanted that one. That's the one I wanted. So we've got some bronze. We'll cover the keys in bronze. Oh, with your metallics as well, you can put them into a wet palette. It won't make them terrible, but there is the theory that metallics shouldn't go into a wet palette. I have before, and it's not that much of a difference. But you don't have to. So if you're thinking, Steve, you're not putting your metallics into the wet palette, you're taking them straight out the pot. That is why. You don't have to. You can. It's not a huge hindrance if you do put them in the wet palette, so don't panic if you do. But you don't have to. There we go. Little handle there, little handle here. There we go. Another knife handle. We've got this little thing down here. I don't know what that is, but I want it to look like quite sort of shiny, like a cool little ball orb thing. So I'm going to paint it silver. Then I'm going to use like a bright blue contrast over the top to give it that sort of shiny blue effect, like it's glowing. So you can do that with quite a few items, to be fair, if you're looking at giving them a glowing colour. So instead of just having it silver, what you can do, paint the item silver first and then put your bright, shiny, striking contrast colour over the top to give it that feel that it's of a sort of, you know, radioactive green or something. So here, for example, inside his jacket, very hard to see probably from the view, but right in the back, right back there, I am painting a test tube looking thing. So the cap I've painted silver, the bottom I painted silver, and then I will paint the blue over the top, or the green actually for that one, over the top, just so it looks super cool and shiny and different colour. So I'll shake up my green contrast, make sure that's all jiggled, which it is. I've got my blue contrast as well here, and I'm going to apply the blue contrast over the little orb thing in the bottom. It's a bit too much, because what you want is you don't want it completely smothered in blue. You want the silver to kind of come out, because that's what gives it the effect that it's like a shining, glowing colour rather than just a solid blue. And if there's too much, all I'm doing here is just taking the blue, spreading it around my paintbrush, and if there's too much there, just dabbing it on a little piece of tissue paper that I have to my side. There we go. Alright, so we've covered that all in blue. Good. Alright. Wait for that to dry. Just wanted to tidy up around the edge there, because I'd just gone over, and I just wanted to tidy that just so it looks a little bit better. There we are. Right, now where's my green? Here's my green. So this one I'm using striking scorpion green. It's from my Eldari army. But it's an absolutely cool colour green. Again, contrast don't need to go in your wet palette. You can just paint them straight on. get that green in there. That might be a little bit too much. Sometimes you do have to do layers with this, which is fine. There we go. So I've got like a green shining object. I've got a blue shining object. I've got that sort of brass object there as well. Don't know if you can see the green in there. Just about on the camera. Yeah, so it's looking like he's got a fair different amount of wares now, rather than just all being one singular colour. So at least it looks like he's got a few items on him that are of interest. Just spotted another dagger type item, which I'm just painting the blade silver, which is sort of right tucked in his jacket. Probably something that you wouldn't see on camera, but if you had the model in front of you, then you'd probably see it and you'd pick that up. So again, doesn't have to be perfectly painted because it's quite tucked out the way, but let's get a little bit of colour on there and it does the world of difference. Nice. Okay, so we also have this little item over here that he's sort of hanging over his... Oh, sorry. I'll get that in the frame. We've got this little item here that's sort of hanging over his hand. He's sort of holding it out. So I'm going to put like a black Nuln Oil across this just to change the colour of that strap, just to give it a different look. I don't think I've got any other... Could I do that one? Oh yeah, I could do this one. Just going to give it a bit more of a different tone, just because there's a lot of similar colours here on his robe and his sort of rags. So let's try and change that up, just to give it, see what it comes out as. I don't know what this will come out as. A bit much. Again, take it off, put it on your little... I don't know, actually it's too similar perhaps. Oh well, we've gone for it now, so let's just do that. Alright, it's okay. It's okay, it's not great. I don't love it. Might go for a darker colour later once that dries. But what we can do is we can use our striking scorpion again on this little ball thing that's hanging from his hand that he's sort of holding out. So let's just put, because it's already pre-silvered, let's just put this bright green across. And it looks so cool. The silver underneath with the contrast bright colour. It could be green, it could be blue, it could be red. And that looks so cool. There we go. So it looks very, very good. I'm also going to bring in a red into that, I think, because that will look cool. So I have got a contrast red. Let's bring that over. This one's sort of a slightly pinky red, actually. So this is Doomfire Magenta. Doomfire Magenta. It's a nice colour, but I thought, well, let's get another bright colour on the front instead of silver. There's lots of little silver pieces on this model, so let's try and give it a different vibe. And you'll see here from this colour it is very pink. But that's cool. There we go. There we are. Lots of lovely, lovely pink. There we go. Pink, pink, pink. Might have to wait for some of that to dry to cover it, because there is two areas there that are touching where I've put some contrast, and contrast does take a little while to dry. But there you go, you can see the sort of little, looks like Christmas baubles he's hanging out there. So maybe he's offering the party as they venture down the road some Christmas baubles for their Christmas tree. Right. Oh, okay. So let's close up the paint pots. Let's take off the geek glasses so you don't have to laugh at me anymore for wearing those. Oh, there we are. And let's change the camera back to front view. Well, people, we have made it to another end of a live on a Friday. It has been joyous to chat to you. It's been very, very cool. I appreciate every single one of you for joining. Whether you're watching this live with me or whether you're watching on catch up, both are absolutely fantastic. We say this every week here on Minis and Muscles. Tell your friends all about it. We're currently 110 subscribers, right? 110 subscribers. Could we get to more by next week? I don't know. Let's see. But tell your friends, tell your buddies. We're all geeks. Share this with your geek community. Let's grow the channel. And let's see how many people we can get following, right? But thank you very much for listening, for watching, for tuning in. Please like the video when it gets posted. Please comment on the video when it gets posted. Please share it. And subscribe. Just, you know, we say it every week, get your nan to subscribe. She'll never know. I say it every week, so it probably bugs the heck out you guys. But, you know, we're just trying to grow the channel and do what we do. But it's been a pleasure, as always, to speak to you all. Absolutely lovely as ever. Hopefully the chat has been entertaining and we've covered a few cool little topics. Next week, I'm actually away with work next week. So what I will probably do is I will record a session during the week next week for next Friday. I will try to join the live I'll try to join the video when it's streamed, but so I can comment on it and chat to you guys. But I will be away in another country, so there's a bit of time difference, but that's not a problem. There will be a video there. I'm going to try to post more to bloody Instagram and things like that to try and generate more viewers. JPC is saying, great job, Steve. Thank you very much, JPC. I appreciate that. Let's just take a quick recap of our minis, just so we can see what they look like at the moment. In fact, could we do this one? There we go. Here we are. So, we've got our little orc lady. Look at her side-eyeing the bloke there. She's not finished, obviously, but she's not looking too bad. There's some more coloration to do and some more detail to do on this one. But she's looking pretty cool, right? Not bad. Can you see what I mean about how that black Nuln oil fits into the recesses on the stitches across the top? Really does fill out any errors you make. We have our dodgy dealer. There he is, our dodgy dealer with his sort of crystal baubles hanging up. He's got lots of things in his jacket over here that he's holding up. He's got lots of various things, like a giant's finger. We've got to paint this, the flames into this lantern actually. He's got a little water satchel, some skulls on the back. He's got his little devil friend on the back there. So he's looking quite cool. Again, some tidying to do on that, but he's looking all right. We have our dwarf. I love the colours on this. Again, needs tidying, so there's some bits of patches that need doing and neatening up. But he looks very cool with his staff there, glowing blue, and his bright red or bright ginger hair. Some more details to follow on him, but he's looking good. And then lastly out of the party, we've got our female rogue. She does need finishing off. But again, she's looking pretty darn sweet. So there you go. That is the 4 characters for our diorama. Let's just pop back to the main view. Yeah, that's it for Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Have a wonderful time. Thank you so much for joining me. Do really, really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. Rest up. Geek it up. Have an awesome time. And I will see you all very, very soon. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Goodbye. Au revoir. I don't really know that many other goodbyes. But anyway, I'll see you soon. Take it easy, people. Stay safe.
Minis-N-Muscles, we're heroes, right? The dying world's still modest us. Rushing air, where power we fight. Strength that breaks you, life in the light. Where the brawn meets the blood. The story's told in this love imagination mode. With every stroke, adventures unfold. casting dreams until the dawn, leveling up and the world to follow. With painted heroes shining bright, venturing on.